Typical this happens the moment I'm out of office, but SORA is dead! What a turn of events! And the whole Disney and OpenAI deal? Absolutely decimated now. Probably. Kind of. There is still room for asterisks. Some people are concerned it's gonna be the start of the AI bubble popping, but it's probably worth it. Generally, brilliant news! We said that Disney's new CEO, Josh D'Amaro, could very well course correct their dabbling into AI, and it looks like other major events in that slop space may very well have helped with that. As I'm presuming you'll all know by now, OpenAI have announced that they are shutting down SORA just mere months after launching, to which creatives across the world have rejoiced. Finally, it's over. OpenAI's statement reads, "We're saying goodbye to SORA, to everyone who created with SORA, shared it, and built community around it. Thank you." And that's also aimed at me. I technically made a community around it. Though saying things like everyone who created with SORA definitely sounds like an oxymoron and a half. Now, as for actually why this went down and what this is going to lead to going forwards, there are several reasons being given. For one, the software with unlimited potential has realized said potential is indeed limited. But perhaps one of the real big ones is how much of a legal cul-de-sac that SORA is, with copyright infringement absolutely running riot in this thing. And those copyright holders have noticed. And it turns out this slop is just more trouble than it's worth for the OpenAI lawyers. For one, they still have several ongoing lawsuits that just shutting down the service won't actually fix, but it will certainly prevent even more from popping up. And we've just continued to see that AI is not this inevitable upwards graph of progress for the creative industry. Turns out you need creativity in the creative industry. Who would have thought? And perhaps the biggest middle finger to this fact was in the stylings of a Mickey Mouse glove, as Disney had signed a $1 billion deal with OpenAI to license its characters for SORA 2. The corporate face of creativity appeared to be turning its back on the people who made all these characters by throwing them into an AI database. Great for PR. How has the serververse from the terrible Space Jam 2 actually become a thing? Incredible. Well, almost anyway. But now that we know last week that they are in fact pulling the plug on SORA 2, that means the Disney deal goes along with it. Supposedly, Disney were told just hours before said announcement. Sounds so professional in the AI industry. The $1 billion transaction is officially cancelled, and the Mouse House finds themselves free of a deal that they were getting a lot of stick for. Wonder where that came from. And rightly so, of course. Thinking when McDonald's introduced a menu that went way beyond what people actually want from them. Apparently in the 1980s, they brought out the infamously launched McSpaghetti. And because I love rogue analogies, Disney Plus having a generative AI interface feels like their McDonald's selling spaghetti moment. If I want to watch The Little Mermaid, I'll just watch the damn movie, rather than watching Jeanette from Wyoming be integrated into this movie by SORA. I don't want her to be part of that world. I'm just adding human-generated bad jokes for good measure. But before at least the fall of SORA, you can at least see how this could have led to a deal. There is at least a rationale of AI has terrible boundaries with intellectual property, so let's get cozy with the main culprit so that we can at least regulate how our stuff is used. And $1 billion bribe to help this regulation would have certainly helped to sweeten the deal. It's just always felt that this came from a place of fear to protect IP, rather than anything more positively motivated. Certainly not creatively motivated. I could see how it got to that point, but I still don't agree with it at all, of course. So then in comes new CEO Josh D'Amaro. We've done a whole dedicated video about him and the potential for some good news that comes out of him, with him being much more of a people person, beloved by the park staff particularly, and he too has a new statement regarding AI, especially now that we're on the other side of this deal. From him we have a few quotes that go, "At Disney, creativity is always led by people. That will always be the case. Our goal with AI is to empower human creativity and not replace it. We want to give artists and filmmakers and designers better tools so they can focus on what they do best." So pretty bluntly, this replacement over generation is not a plan exactly for Disney going forwards, but it isn't necessarily the full end of AI full stop. This is still going to impact the industry, even if it's not exactly through SpongeBob Simulator. And it's not quite so straightforward to say it's over here. As a Disney spokesperson also said, We appreciate the constructive collaboration between our teams and what we've learned from it, and we will continue to engage with AI platforms to find new ways to meet fans where they are, whilst responsibly embracing new technologies that respect IP and the rights of the creators. I like some of what that says, but it's also pretty blatant that this isn't really the end. Hey there! Thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more AI animation news. We always try to talk about AI through the lens of animation. Disney's had their eyes on AI, and to be honest, they may very well continue. So if you're interested, thank you for joining along. And now to the second half of this video. It's 2026, and they're a giant media conglomerate who wants to invest in AI. Big surprise. I just don't really see how an AI can respect IPs and the rights of creators in any capacity. You're using something that humans created to sort of demonstrate that we don't need the humans anymore. You've got the people to continue the legacy of these characters who are way more capable of approaching them with the respect they deserve, right? Because we're humans with emotions and empathy who are able to process the concept of respect in a non-mechanical way. But still, it is quite the heel turn from Disney and a change in direction. And with now there being a new CEO, there has never been more opportunity to double down in a new direction. Again, another oxymoron. We're just chucking them all in there. Already being able to take the reins and immediately find an out on this billion-dollar deal, there is still a lot of potential of this going the most ethical way, if there has to be some AI way. Being in the commanding chair now, he does seem to be a lot more in touch with the people who both create and consume the company's content. He's very in touch with the fan community as well, and will very clearly know that these AI moves aren't popular with the overall fan base. That's a pretty big fan base. You've not only got the mainline Disney fans, but with all their monopolizing antics, you've now also got two of the biggest nerd spheres in the world with Star Wars and Marvel, and a million smaller ones as well, Muppets. These represent the groups buying the most Disney product, so listening to them, probably a good idea. Likewise, listening to employees in a similar fashion, which speaks even more volumes when they're the ones that the AI could potentially replace as it becomes more advanced. He has expressed that there are pros to AI, and creatively, it could still be an opportunity. But more so than his predecessors, he appears to really value being a good listener, and like in the case with Adobe and Animate, maybe enough of us voicing opposition to these moves will ultimately make a real difference here. It's also a case of a rare win for the planet in 2026, considering how much water and electricity these databases are required to run, and maybe that's really not a great time for it when our global energy crisis is doing its thing. With energy scarcity like this, it's only going to make the stuff more expensive to run, which could very well be part of the reason that Sora went down, costing so much day to day that they're not profiting off of. And again, goes back to that discussion of the domino effect of the AI bubble popping, because AI is getting more expensive, and it's not turning a penny yet. Possibly the one thing that might actually get through to these guys. Though a big part of me also thinks that they just have so much money they don't really care when it comes to AI investment. With Sora 2 gone, the player left in the game with the most influence really is Google. They are now essentially the biggest video generation player. But just like OpenAI, they are also knee-deep in lawsuits from the sheer level of copyright infringement. Software that can only generate content based on pre-existing ideas rips off existing ideas. What a headline. So for now, even the survivors of the video generation world are starting to realize of what a legal bull in a china shop they really have here. And I think OpenAI outright shutting their service is a significant moment and indicator. This huge, successful company, which supposedly has so much power and influence in our new AI world, couldn't sustain one of their biggest tools, and in doing so, gave one of the biggest art entertainment corporations a much needed kick up the backside in realizing that AI isn't the final answer to everything when it comes to growth and development. I mean, Sora only launched a few months ago. Here it is, dead in the water. I didn't even get round to Kingdom Hearts. But that's not the end of it, OpenAI has been clear. Some of the other tools still have less advanced video generation capabilities, and they're absolutely looking to get back into the market once they've sorted these copyright jumping issues, if that's even possible. Meanwhile, I guess we'll just have to see what Disney does from here. It could be they just shave off entirely the generation world and just go on to probably the in-betweening, stylization, extrapolations, and auto-generated email responses, you know, the norm. Or maybe they are gonna just double down and continue looking for just a better video generation tool than Sora, because it's looking pretty choppy. Or anything photorealistic as well. There's some crazy stuff out there. It's unfortunate that the latest thing that their person-based resources have managed to put out is that Moana remake trailer. Just looking set to be the most pointless remake yet, barely even live action, despite many of the actual locations and sets they need being practically possible. So perhaps, even if it's not actually AI, we're still in for a slop period for Disney, but I guess we'll see how Hext goes later this year. An original Disney movie, what? But still infused from the time of Bob Iger, so don't have the best hopes. Also, what looks like the commentary they're making in Toy Story 5 is kind of interesting in the midst of all the rest of this stuff. Still, yes, there's the good news and the background warnings of all things regarding the fact that OpenAI's Sora 2 is indeed dead. Whew, the best news we might get this year, I'll be honest. For now, though, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell us your thoughts on the ramifications of what happens here. Disney, OpenAI, the world. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more, but otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!